Good morning. We're going to talk about nomad life today in a little bit different way. Welcome to my channel. I'm Rainbow. There are some really interesting things on this channel for you if you're watching. And if you have already been watching, the fun will continue today. Burning a little creosote from out in my travels out west, because today we're going to have a frank and candid talk about nomad life. Not why I left it, but what it was like for me. That's what we're talking about today. So, burning a little bit of creosote, handpicked by me in Arizona. It grew everywhere out there. It's all over the place. And I picked this at my beautiful friend Tammy's property, in her former property in Marana, and bundled these myself and gave them away. Beautiful. So we're going to put that over there in the shell. Just let it burn with us. So, happy Saturday, all. This is so exciting. I'm very excited to be here with you all. Happy 1:11 on the timer. So today I thought I'd do just a little talk about me and my travels. And just some of the things that have been brought into my awareness by Spirit in the universe to talk with you about today. So on this channel, we talk about everything spiritual, everything cosmos. We're not a religious channel. However, my background is in spiritualism and I'm a medium. So I draw from that, happy 144, I draw from that and add to it, right? With all the beautiful spiciness of the cosmos. And we have a lot of fun on here. We do readings and we do meditation. We drink cacao. Anywho, so thanks for stopping by, and I'm really glad that you're here, and I really hope that this helps someone. Okay, that's the goal of all of and any of these videos. And if you like this video, there's also a video with me talking about why I chose to leave nomad life also. And if I can't link it in the actual video, I'll link it in the comments or something. I'll link it somehow. I keep saying that. I'm still working on that. Anyways, we'll get it done. So today is Saturday, and I'm honoring, with my bindies, I'm honoring my Earth Star chakra. So I just want to tell you a quick little tidbit about the Earth Star chakra, and then I'm going to talk about nomad life. The Earth Star chakra. So Saturday is typically root day for me, the Saturn day. And so I honor my root chakras and everything associated. So today I'm hearing Earth Star. It is grounding in its ancestry. And I'm about to talk about being a nomad. And I was out west for a lot of this, so that makes sense. The light side is staying grounded, safe, and supported by your ancestors. So that's what we're doing today. We're burning the creosote. We're honoring the ancestors. And always asking for light and grounding and support and love from them. The shadow, feeling ungrounded, feeling like you're in survival fear, or having ancestral wounds. And if you're a Reiki practitioner, flow and stabilize is the goal. I am safe, supported, and deeply rooted. So, happy Saturn day, everyone. Happy 3:55 on the timer. And I'm sending you love to your Earth Star chakra. Okay. So let's have a little frank and candid talk about nomad life, shall we? So, I was a nomad for almost 2 years. And it started with me selling my house and selling and giving away everything basically that I owned except what would fit in my then 25-foot RV. So I took that first and I went out west, but I was living everywhere because I sold my house. So I didn't have a sticks and bricks. And so I would go and stay everywhere and stay with friends and go and stay with my then bestie, Jimmy Graybeard. I would go everywhere. I'd go to Ohio, I'd go to the state parks, I'd go to friends' houses, I was even staying with some relatives at the time, because I sold my house in July of 2024. It sold. So after that, I traveled locally, and then in October, at the beginning of October of 2024, I took my dog and myself a lot of awareness, a lot of healing tools for myself, and traveled out west. And in the RV, I stayed out west for 6 months by myself with my dog. So I want to talk about that first. 5:44 on the timer, y'all. I want to talk about that first. Being out west as a solo female with just your dog in a 25-foot Class C RV that I drove. So first of all, I had a lot of practice driving the RV because I forced myself to learn how to drive it in all kinds of situations. And I mean all kinds of situations. And I also practiced living in my RV for years before I even set out by myself. So I practiced driving it so that I could master it, which I did, and I lived in it. Now, when I say I lived in it, I traveled some in it when I still had my house, but I would go places, including my driveway. I would stay in my driveway, but I would practice living in it off-grid because the goal was to live in it off-grid. So my plan was to buy solar, and not use the water on board, and things like that as much as possible. So I did a tremendous amount of research for myself on every kind of vehicle you could possibly live in and how, every kind of person who was living nomadically at the time and putting YouTube videos on and showing how they did it off-grid and on-grid and all kinds of things in any vehicle. I followed a lot of solo female nomads and did research that way too. So I probably did about 6 years total of research before I even hit the road, y'all. I was researching because at the time I bought my RV, and at the time I even started the research, which was before that, I was a full-time teacher at the time. And then, resigned and started my journeys. So I was a full-time teacher, and the pandemic hit, and so then I really upgraded and upscaled all my research at that time during 2020. And then I finished my teaching career in 2022 in January, and that was it. For full-time research, practicing being a nomad, developing more all of my spirituality and my mediumship, cacao, all the things I do. So, having said all that, I felt very comfortable going into the situation as much as I could without ever having gone by myself completely across the country, of course. But I had traveled in my life. I had plenty of traveling experience under my belt, right? My grandmother, who I'm very thankful for, showed me how to be a female nomad. She took me, just her and I, when I was 13 and 17, all through every New England state in the United States. And I'm from the Lake Erie area in Pennsylvania. We'll just say that. Originally, that's where I'm from. So my grandmother took me on 2 full trips to every New England state, all the way up to Maine. We hit every state and came back twice. This woman also took me to New York City twice. Once when I was 9 and once when I was 14. By herself. Now granted, we took a bus there. Both times for that. We were on a bus with all kinds of teachers that she knew. Because my grandmother was a teacher too. Oh, it was a hoot. She was even my teacher. But that's a different story. That could be a video too. Just all of my teaching experience and all my relatives and what happened when I was a teacher. But anyway, so I had a lot of traveling experience under my belt is what I'm saying. So when I finally left on October 7th of 2024, I was like, nothing's stopping me. I got this. And I already knew from working very closely with Spirit, the universe, my personal, spirit teams and everything, and all my spirit people, all my relatives, my father in spirit, I had gotten a lot of guidance telling me that I was going to be just fine. And I got a reading from a really good friend who was like, go, you're going to be fine. Nothing eventful's happening on that trip. You're just going to have a blast. And I did. Thanks, Reverend Jane. And so anyways, so I started out and I spent 6 months, and 4 of them I spent in Arizona. And 1 of them I spent in a tiny house right in the middle. I took a break and just grounded myself right in the middle of the Kaibab National Forest, 17 miles south of Flagstaff. And I just stayed in a tiny house for a month halfway through that trip because I listened to my body. I knew I needed the rest. And happy 11/11. And if I can offer anything to anyone who's watching this video right now, sign up for 2 apps if you have an RV. If you have an RV, please, for the love of God, sign up for the Dirt. DYRT, the Dirt. You won't regret it. 2, Harvest Hosts. Yes, there's a fee for the year. It's like $125. At least that's what it was, which is very minimal considering what you get with Harvest Host. Harvest Hosts is a network, a huge network, humongous network of people and places, sites where you can camp. And the first night should always be free, by the way. So if somebody charges you, they're kind of not in the spirit of Harvest Hosts, because the first night should be always free. But after that, the host, depending on where you're staying, you could be at a vineyard, a winery, you could be on a farm, you could be at a tiny house, Airbnb community, like I was in Arizona. That's how I found out about the tiny house I rented. The beautiful couple and their 3 awesome sons had a tiny house Airbnb on their property. And they had 2 tiny houses left that they were still kind of renting out. And I got the last one. I'm so lucky. So anyway, Harvest Host is how I found the tiny house. It's how I found so many of the beautiful friends that I found on the road. And that's another thing I want to talk about. I've done the research before I took this trip. I've seen all the different ways that nomad life is portrayed on YouTube. I've seen it. I've watched them. I've watched the clickbait. I've watched the real, true, authentic people giving real, authentic advice. I've watched the positive spins on things. I've watched the negative spins. So I'm just here to give you my spin and what happened, and just give you some tips. If you're thinking about being a nomad, it's really fun. And one thing that I'm going to say on here is that from my perspective, it wasn't scary. It wasn't scary. And I send very, very positive, healing, and heart-centered healing energies to anyone who's had experiences where it's frightened them, or they've been in scary or dangerous situations. And I feel for those people because I'm not oblivious. I'm very aware. I'm very aware. And through my travels, I also got to speak to many people also living nomadically like I was. And very rarely, actually, did I hear anything negative from anyone I encountered. So take that with a grain of salt. Do with it what you will, okay? But from my personal experience as a solo female nomad with just my dog, by the way, for reference, I'm 5 foot tall. And, but I'm a Leo. And a Taurus moon and a Libra. So it's like, I give off an energy of don't fuck with me either. Just saying. I'm also a former inner city school teacher and a mother of twins and a singleton that's also a Leo rising, and my children are badasses, okay? So I didn't go into this with an air of, oh no, what is going to happen? Oh, I'm fearful. I never went into it that way either. So I think it really depends on your mindset going in. I know it does. And that was also part of my work that I did on myself to relieve myself and clear myself of fear. Because for God's sake, I never want to go into anything with fear in any of my energetic fields, in my body. No, I spend a lot of time clearing fear. I am a student in the Course of Miracles, and I've been studying it for like 7 years. So I went in with a lot of with a very grounded approach, a very, a background of research, experience, driving and feeling comfortable doing what I'm doing, having tools to help me. I'd purchased my solar and everything, and I had gotten the systems already on the RV and already used them and was comfortable living the way I did before I even hit the road and went out west. So that's a big thing too. I practiced. Even before I sold my house, I was living in my driveway in my RV. So, I felt very safe. I had my dog. And all I can say is that if you're thinking of living nomadically in an RV, in a car, being a gypsy, whatever you call it, the key to your safety at all times is being aware. And I'm just going to say that that's pretty much the key for me in all areas of my life. Am I aware? And when I say that to myself, it brings me back to a place of pause, allowing the energies around me to clear and move and shift, so then I can then become aware of my intuition, my body and how it feels. And I am going to tell you that that is the only thing you need. Yes, it is wise to have tools with you when you are traveling, even if you're not alone. Have tools that make you feel safe. Do what you need to do, okay? But awareness is going to be the key factor that keeps you safe, okay? If I pulled into a space and I didn't feel comfortable, trust me, I was leaving, okay? For example, when I was in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and no offense to Las Cruces, okay? It's a beautiful area, but I had scheduled to be at a Harvest Host. That was a chain restaurant, which I didn't know because I wasn't from the area. And when I got to the Harvest Host, realizing it was just a parking lot with a chain restaurant in the middle of probably one of the busiest shopping sections. After 10 minutes, my body and my intuition were like, nope, this is not, nope, something here is not gonna, we're not staying. And I had to call 3 state parks. And when I finally got to the third phone call, which was Oliver Lee State Park, 80 miles away, they just simply said, doesn't matter what time you come in, honey, we'll save a spot for you. Just go to the camp host at the state park. Here's what site she's at, and give her your $20 and she'll find you a spot. Thank God. Because the more I sat there, the more my awareness was like, get out, get out, get out, get out. So I did. I had a bite to eat. I fed my dog. We just used that as a break to nourish our bodies and drink some cacao. And then I set off for Oliver State Park and got there at around 8:30 at night and found the camp host. And it was divinely orchestrated, y'all. Because the next morning I woke up and I was walking my dog, and my friends Gary and Jane were also camping and parked just down the way from me. So I made a video about that. It's in my shorts. It's hilarious. I'm like, jumping up and down, running down the road going, my friends Gary and Jane are here, Jane and Gary are here. So exciting. Anyways, that was about the scariest thing I encountered, other than when my radiator lost all its fluid at the bottom of Wyoming. But I just called Jimmy Graybeard, and he helped me. He guided me all through it. We got through it. That wasn't even like really that scary. It was manageable, and he helped me through it. Thank you, honey. So, you know, there's things like that can pop up for you, you know, when you're on the road. There's always going to be something, you know. My man door of the RV also broke on that trip. But fortunately, I was on public lands, and I was in a very safe situation when that happened, because I'm very aligned with Spirit in the universe, and their love and guidance and protection just enfolds my life. It surrounds me, and I'm always getting a big spiritual hug, and I lean into that energy, and I flow with it. So happy 2112, by the way, on the timer. A lot of reflection on my trip. That's what that means. So feeling safe is like usually the biggest thing that people want to talk about. So there, I've talked for 21 minutes, and I have told you a couple stories, and I am living proof that if you go into Nomad life with a positive attitude and you do your research, you don't get caught up in the media or the hype, and I'm not just talking about YouTube. I'm talking about just the media in general. Please, for God's sake, people, don't pay attention to the news when they're flashing things, and they're follow your internal guidance and how you feel. And if you feel a calling to go and experience and travel, do it. You're divinely protected. That's all I can say. Just do it. So I talked about the RV a lot, and how I traveled for 6 months out west in it, but lived in the RV primarily during my Nomad travels, both on the East Coast and in my travels in the Midwest and out west. It was expensive. Yeah, not gonna lie. Very expensive. My RV is I don't even remember. It's a 2008. And she's a really great RV, and she had very little mileage, like 56,000 miles on it when I got her, in immaculate shape. And she's still a great RV, by the way. I'm thinking of selling her, so just kind of putting that out there. But where was I going with that? Primarily all my travels were in that RV. And so that's basically what I knew until about a year after I had been living in the RV solely and driving it everywhere, by the way. I didn't have a car when I was traveling in my RV. I want to make that statement. I didn't have a car. I drove the RV everywhere. Everywhere. So if my friends were like, we're going out to dinner, do you want to go? Yeah. I was parking 3 blocks away in an empty parking lot and walking to dinner, because I got very accustomed to just traveling with my RV and using it as my main source of mobility, to get me places. Anyways, that was a hoot and a handy, all the fun little, tight spots I got myself into and got myself out of, by the way. So, the safety issues a lot. The going to the bathroom thing's the next thing. we're gonna kind of ease into that with talking about the Subaru. But about a year after I traveled in the RV, I heard it was time to explore and do something else, because traveling in the RV was, oh my God, it was super fun. Super. All the state parks, all the national parks I got to go to, all the places I saw, all of the public lands I camped on. And when you're in an RV, the feeling of safety then is just so wonderful. So then switch this now to, after a year in the RV, I went out and bought a Subaru. A 2021 Subaru Outback with 39,000 miles on it. I lucked out. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I'm very guided by spirit in the universe. And I literally went to the Subaru dealer and bought it the same day. Because I'm very divinely aligned. And I knew that was my car. 25 on the timer, y'all. So I bought my Subaru. And the first trip that we did with that was a beautiful trip to Missouri, where I followed my honey and one of our beautiful soul sisters, and we took our soul sister back to her home in Missouri. She had been dealing with some health issues in Ohio, and so Jimmy and I took her back to Missouri, and I followed in my Subaru while he drove her car, and then we drove my car together back from Missouri back to Ohio. And prior to that, I had been on a little trip with my honey and some of our soul sisters in southern Ohio, a little south of here. And that was my first like off-grid trip in my Subaru with my dog. So I practiced that for a while, just being in the car and taking it down into the mountains in Pennsylvania by myself and camping and getting used to that with no tent. No, my tent was my potty tent. I had one tent, a tiny tent, 2-person tent, and that became my potty house when I was camping with my 5-gallon bucket, which, by the way, was all I used in the RV too. I had kind of a separated toilet system that wasn't really a compost because I didn't compost, but I used materials so that I could, as safely as I could, dispose of things like cat litter, like non-scented cat litter. It's clay, animal bedding, wood chip things, so I had my own system for the RV that worked very well and worked very well. I couldn't do that in the Subaru. So I had a tent, and I had a big roof rack, or a big roof bag on top of my car. And so when I decided to go out west in the car, after I put the RV in storage last September, that was like I lost my mind when I had to put the RV in storage, but I knew what I had to do. So I put the RV in storage, and then I took the car and I started perfecting the way I was going to live in the car. And then I took the car and I went out west in November of 2025 by myself with my dog for about 4 weeks by myself, and had a whole different experience in the car and going to the bathroom. So when you're in a car, you have options too. Yeah, there's bathrooms everywhere. I mean, there's bathrooms everywhere. Seriously, when people say that in other videos, that's the truth of it. There's bathrooms everywhere. You can find a bathroom. Except when you're out on public land, like Bureau of Land Management land in Colorado, next to a mountain. Then you gotta dig a hole. Yeah. Sometimes early in the morning, in the dark. So, because that night I just didn't put the tent up because I was only in Colorado at that site for one night because I was going to the hot springs the next day, and I was going to be in a campground in the hot springs. So I was like, I'm not putting my tent up and doing all this for one night. So we parked near the Pinyon Pine. We parked near the Pinyon Pine, and we had our little shovel and our little things, and that's one way to do it. You can also take wag bags with you. Wag bags are bags that you poop in. Usually wag bags are considered a really necessary tool for when you're going into national parks where you're camping and things like that, where you're not digging a hole. You're you're packing it out and you're taking it with you. And so that's what a wag bag's for. And you can use those anywhere, though. You know, if you're out in the desert and you want to do that and seal it and use it, reuse it, and whatever, you can do it. There's so many options. But it was a lot different in the car. You know, obviously a lot tighter space. I couldn't bring my Berkey water filter with me because I had a beautiful Berkey on the RV. So I did water different ways, you know, too. And you can get water a lot of places too, by the way, when you're out. So we just switched up all of our things and just found new ways of doing things. And that's what you have to do. You have to adapt a lot when you're on the road. Even when you think you have systems in place and you're living on the road, no matter what vehicle in, even if you're like in a, you know, a fifth wheel and you're solely going to, like, you know, campgrounds, established campgrounds where there's facilities and hookups, you're constantly adapting. Okay. Click. So what else did I want to talk about? All of this traveling for me, by the way, I guess you could consider it, you could have considered it a spiritual walkabout for me. Because when I went out in the RV the first time, I was also dealing with the fact that I was about to have a divorce. And I had already been putting off that divorce for 2 years. But that was per Spirit. Spirit had told me, just wait until the right time. And then when it was the right time, that happened. And that is done. That is done. So that happened while I was in the RV. At the tiny house, actually. So it was a blessing I was there. It was a good recuperation time for me and a good time to rest. But yeah, I took 4 trips in the Subaru. 1 to Missouri, 2 out west. Because after I did the first trip out west with just my dog and I then did a solo trip without the dog because I consider life to be an experiment, y'all. So I wanted to see what would happen if I just went out by myself. That's how I am. And so I did. And I met my beautiful sister Sarah out in Roswell, New Mexico for that 3rd trip. And then we traveled for 2 weeks and went out to the Conscious Life Expo out in LA, which if you ever get a chance, I highly recommend. It was nuts. It was so impactful and profound and eye-opening. I highly recommend it. And just the fact that I got to travel with my sister Sarah for 2 weeks, and we went to Joshua Tree twice. It was lovely. She and I she had her cat with her, Yoda, and it was a whole totally brand new nomadic experience for me at that point too, and for her. She hadn't traveled with the cat before, I believe, and in the ways that she was. And so we really learned a lot from it. Thank you, Sarah. I love you. We learned a lot from each other. Caravanning. And caravanning when you're on the road. Happy 3344, by the way. Caravanning by the road, right? 3344. Divine protection, divine alignment, community. So, caravanning with Sarah when I was out west was amazing. The time before that I went out west in my car, the first time I went out with my car and my dog, I caravanned with my friend Sheila and her 2 dogs. And the time I went out in the RV, the first time, I caravanned with my friend Tammy in her van, public land. So caravanning's a thing. I highly recommend if you can find people that you instantly trust them and love them. You know they're instantly star family and soul family. Caravan with them. You won't regret it. Contrary to belief in the media, there are now millions of people that are nomadically living. They don't have a sticks and bricks. They are digital nomads. Or they're retired and they're like, fuck that, I'm just gonna go travel. That's what I did the first year. As I was developing my spiritual everything, and also working, you know, as a medium and everything, remotely and in person when I was, you know, able to. But there's just so many ways you can do it. Okay, so RV, went out west, big one. The OG, the walkabout. Went to Sedona, did all the things, traveled, went through so many different states. I lived everywhere. I lived, happy 35. I lived everywhere. I read a lot of books. I went to a lot of very extremely well-known spiritual places and found a lot of unknown, off the beaten path, not really talked about spiritual places. Go to them all. Go to everything that calls to you. And people are going to tell you where to go, what to do, and they're going to try to micromanage your trip. I learned that too. And they do that because they have love in their heart for you, and they want you to experience beautiful things like they did when they went on their trip. So just take all the suggestions, you know, write down all the suggestions if you can, record them, because you never know when you're going to find yourself in a spot where you go, oh, maybe I should have gone to that corn maze in South Dakota. So RV, Subaru again with my sister. Oh, Subaru also went to Maine because I go to a women's council in Maine each year. It's a beautiful, beautiful gathering, soul gathering of soul sisters in Maine. So I volunteered in August of last year to drive because I got my Subaru in August, and I'm like, I want to go take it for a long drive and try it out. So we did that, and I took 3 of my beautiful sisters, and we all took turns driving my car, you know, and stuff, and having fun, and we went there for 4 days and got to drive all through New England up to Maine again. And then after that, I took my last trip as a full-time nomad. My last trip with my sister Sarah was it. After I came back from that, I realized that my whole spiritual journey had pivoted, and that with everything I had learned on all of my trips on the road and living full-time as a nomad, and being away from my children. I have my kids are, I say children. My daughters are 19, about to be 20, and the twins are 24, and going to be 25 in June. So part of my nomad journey was also helping them to cross a threshold into adulthood that they needed to cross. And without me being right there. And it needed to happen. It was a very, oh, I love how the wind's just like, it was a very profoundly deep soul awakening experience for all 4 of us, and we all needed it. And that sometimes I wonder if that was the true reason why it all happened the way it did. Because when you go on a trip like this, the healing you experience, the epiphanies and realizations about your life's trauma, the trauma that you and your kids went through throughout your life, it surfaces in really profound ways so that you can acknowledge it and deal with it and start to heal it. And that's what my children, that's what my daughters and I did. All 4 of us rose to the occasion, and we answered a true call of healing. And when I came back the first time, we were all different people. and we continue to grow. And that is the point of traveling. In any capacity, it's for growth, soul growth, healing, evolution, building awareness. And so that was what happened to me. I had a walkabout several different ways, and I really connected with and healed my inner children, myself. Oh, because believe me, through this evolution, I've become a whole different person. I've cut people off that I loved, that also have some work to do. And it's not easy all the time, but it's damn worth it. So if you get a chance, I'm telling you, I'm living proof. Do it. It's the best fucking thing you'll ever do for yourself. Truly. And I thank you for being here and listening to my stories. I have a lot more. If you want to see more of my travels, almost 3/4 of my shorts are my nomadic travels. When I set out on the journey, I didn't do it to necessarily film it for YouTube. I did it for me. But I got enough footage and I have enough stories that I will be happy to continue to share my stories of my travels here on YouTube with all of you. So if you liked it, please hit like. Please help me grow. And by helping me grow, I'm hoping to help everyone grow. If you like it, subscribe to it, comment, share me. And I look forward to being here with you many more times and sharing with you all the delights and all the struggles of life with Spirit and Cosmos holding us. Many blessings. You are another me. I'm another you. I witness you and I love you. Thank you for being here. Many blessings.